Welcome to PointKarting.com. I'm Eric Gunderson, and today we're going to start building this DR Mini 18 by DR Racing Kart, available now on PointKarting.com. At PointKarting.com, we want to make sure that our customers understand not only how to use their product, but what they're getting before they get it. And that's why we're doing this build video, so that you can see every component go together and mimic us as you build your very own DR Mini 18, or as you're working on yours in the shop. As we build this kart, we'll become more and more familiar with all the different components available on it and how to assemble it out of the box. And the first thing we're going to install will be our steering shaft. To install the steering shaft, you only need a couple tools. You're going to need a 5 and a 10 millimeter to loosen your plastic steering shaft support, and a 13 millimeter nut and wrench to install the retaining nut on the bottom side of the steering shaft. The very first step will be to loosen the pre-tightened retaining bolt for the plastic steering shaft. As it's delivered by DRT USA, this is slightly tight. Simply loosen it, and now I can move it up and down, which is going to allow me to take my steering shaft and slide it inside of my plastic steering shaft support. If at this point you want to utilize some impact collars on either side, available now on PointKarting.com, this is when you would slide these on, one on the top side and one on the bottom side as you go to fit your steering shaft column. These would help the steering shaft from shooting upward in case of a severe accident, but on this kart we don't have any installed at the moment. Next, we'll go ahead and loosen the M8 nut, which requires a 13 millimeter wrench to reinstall. Pull the steering shaft back, realign our pre-installed uniball in the steering shaft support, and insert the threaded rod into the uniball. Once in there, we'll take the M8 nut, reach down below the steering shaft support, and the DR Mini 18 has enough room built into the chassis so that this is fairly easy to do. Find the end of the steering shaft support and slowly, by hand, thread on the nut. Once you have it started with a few threads, you can then turn the steering shaft until you feel it start to tighten appreciably. Then grab your 13 millimeter wrench, bring it under there, find the nut, and keep tightening, twisting using the tie rod supports until you feel the steering shaft tighten all the way down. It's very important to not over tighten this nut, as doing so will actually cause the spot welded joints on the bottom of the steering shaft to shear. But if you're doing this by hand, it's going to be pretty hard to do that, so just get it as tight as you can by hand and you're going to be good to go. That's going to alleviate any side to side or vertical play in the steering shaft, and you'll be ready to hit the track once you put on the retaining safety clip on the bottom of the steering shaft. So as I continue to tighten, I can start to feel it tighten up. Right about there is where I need to go. Simply re-tighten this top retaining bolt system, and now our steering shaft is installed. To take this out, say it's bent in an accident or anything like that, to replace it, simply reverse those steps and you'll be able to remove it easy as that.